Hello again, everybody. It is 1 o'clock, so it is time for your next live presentation. And I just had some problems with my computer, so it was like a minute ago that I was getting it set up. So please, as you come on, make sure that you send me a little note and let me know that this is coming through. I'm going to test it here and make sure I'm in the right place. I want to make sure that you're all seeing me. And so, yeah, give me a comment and let me know because that's the worst feeling in the world when I want to be here and it's not working. So, anyway, I'm here. I'm calm. We are going to be doing 3 projects today in my session, and we're going to get them done hopefully in about 40 minutes. Hello, Pam, Rhonda, Marilyn, Sylvia. Good. Okay, everyone is good. I'm good too. Okay, so did everybody grab a snack? Or at least a little bit of lunch, and you are all fired up and ready for the afternoon? Did everybody catch everything this morning? And what's been your favorite project so far? What's the first thing you think that you're going to make when you get down to your stamp area? Or maybe you've already made something or something's already half done. Let me know what it is that you've already been working with. So what we're going to do is step it up stamping. So here we're going to do 3 projects. I'm going to take one stamp set and I'm going to do 3 different things with it. And we are going to do 3 different types of coloring. So, okay, good. I'm good. Thank you very much, everybody, and let me know for letting me know. So I'm going to turn you down. We are going to be using the Have a Hoot stamp set. And I know that there's some glare on there, so let me pick that up. So so everyone is doing, it looks like you're doing everything. That's perfect. Love them. Good. Secret project. Perfect. And because you were able to make something, you know what? I should show you mine. I did the secret project. Maybe that's why I didn't have my self in gear. So this is, I wanted to use this stamp set and I wanted to get some paper to go with it. So the paper I went for was oh boy, and I can't even remember the name of it. And unlike Lillian, I don't have anything written on the back to help me. So maybe someone has an idea that they can give me what the name of that paper is because I don't have it close at hand. So that was mine. So I'm looking forward to seeing what all of yours were too. Okay, so we are going to use the Have a Hoot stamp set. So this is a stamp set and a bundle. So it comes with dies as well. And I love these little guys when I saw them. So last night I had said I either like elegant or cute Christmas. Well, this certainly fits the bill for cute. So we are going to be making a variety of different ideas today. And I want to show you how you can turn it into not just a Halloween or a Christmas stamp set. Okay, so let's get started. Yes, thank you, Judy. You are right. It is the world of good. Good thing I have you guys here. Okay, so very little supplies for the first one. So this is SIP stamping. So stamps, ink, and paper. So I have just a piece of my thick Whisper White that I've scored at 4 1/4, or yeah, 4 1/4. Sorry, I had to really think. And I'm using my Memento stamp pad, and I'm going to use this little guy with the present. So I'm just going to ink him up, and he's just going to go in the middle of the card. And then all I'm going to do is do the words as well. So this, I'm doing a Merry Christmas one here today. But if you wanted to turn this into a birthday, all you need to do is stick a birthday stamp underneath the greeting. And then I'm going to use some Sahara Sand. So I want just a little bit of color on him. And this is a way that you can add it in here. So I've got my sponge dauber. And if you don't use it with your finger in there, it really does give you a little bit more control. And I just take a label and I write on the name, and then I put this into, and I don't have it close at hand, one of the the plastic cross stitch cases, and that way everything is in its place. I'm not organized enough to actually put it in by color family. That would be great. That would be a wonderful thing, but that's not what's happening. So now you're just going to pick up a little bit of your color. I'll bring this in a bit. You're going to dab it in there, and then you're going to swirl it off. So this is quite an important step, because with sponging, if you were to put that on the right away, you're probably going to get a darker mark than you want. So I take a little bit off and I just do it in a swirling pattern. And then I come in here, and the key word here is lightly. So you are going to lightly swirl right over top of this little guy. Okay, so I just chose a color that an owl might be. I think of him as being brown. Although at Christmas, snowy owls. Do we have any snowy owls in Alberta? Or where you live, do you have any? So you don't want too dark of a color. You just really want a little bit of color in there. And then you're going to use your Stampin' Write markers. So I've just got Real Red and Garden Green. And I'm going to use the pointy tip on it. Not the pointy, the small tip, I guess, not the brush tip. And the reason for that is because we're just going to color that little present. And that little present is really quite small. So I'm just going to go in with that tip. And I'm just going to color it up. And we are almost going to be done. So I don't know, that is probably a fairly quick, if I wasn't talking, just think how many of these cards you could get done. And if you made it even smaller, because I'm done. So that's my card. So there's your card, and I know most of you would say, oh, that is way too plain. There's no way that I could actually send that out to somebody. You know what? You can. You actually can stick that into an envelope, address it, and send it off to someone. So I'll just show you the one that I made, and lo and behold, they are almost the same, except look, I colored them differently. So I colored the presents differently. And I don't have anything on the inside of this one, but I did cut my paper a little bit different. I did the long cut. So that is our first project. So pretty quick. Quicker even than I think the one that we did last Stamping Staycation. So I need to clean up a little bit and grab my next stuff. So, well, I actually do have it on here. So the next one we're going to do is a fun fold, but we're going to take it and we're going to step it up just a little bit. So again, we are going to pull in, and this time I'm going to use this guy here. So that one we used for a birthday. We could have used it for a birthday. Let's see how we can use this one. And you may have an idea already. So this one here, your second level stamping, probably no Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Boy, it's going to take a while to get that just be part of our normal. And so this guy here, what you have is a few more pieces of paper. So you have a piece of paper that is 11 by 4 1/4, scored at 5 1/2, and scored at 2 3/4. So if I hold it this way, 2 3/4 and 5 1/2. And then you need some scraps of that. So this is just Old Olive, a scrap. You need a piece of your crumb cake that is 4 by 5 1/4. You need a piece of shimmery white, and you probably really can't see, but that is shimmery white, and any size will do just as long as it's going to fit your punch. You need a piece of designer paper that is 2 by 4. I'm using a small piece of cardstock here. I've got Early Espresso that is 1 by 2, I think. And then a little bit of a scrap of this one I'm using is, did I go for crushed curry? Yes, crushed curry. Janine's favorite color from last night. Okay, so what we're going to do first is we're going to stamp. So I have already actually done that. Whoa, there it is. So I stamped the little lovebirds, and we are going to color them. So these are the new water painters, and the water painters are a little bit different. So Stampin' Up! Retired their aqua painters, and the reason for it, I think, is so that we now have a brush. Let me put it against something. We now have a brush that is a flat tip. And I have used this. You can see that I've used it. The hardest part for me is getting it back in there without getting the bristles bent backwards. And then there's two. There's a small and a large. And I've actually written on the, let me see if you can see that better this way. I've written on the caps which one is the small and which one is the large. And you can see the difference in the tips right here. So this is what has replaced our aqua painters. Don't throw yours out. There's nothing wrong with them. They're much the same. They're a little bit longer, but your water or your distilled water or your alcohol goes right into that reservoir. So I'm using shimmery white paper because I want to do a little bit of watercoloring. So we often don't watercolor when we color. So we colored that other one just with a marker and a sponge dauber. This one we are going to color with our Stampin' Write markers. So I'm just going to take my markers. So this is Early Espresso. And I'm just going to take a spare acrylic block and I'm going to put my color directly onto the block. So I've got my colors here. This was, sorry, Early Espresso, soft suede, crushed curry, and I've got some old olive. Okay, so I may need to add a little bit more color there, but I may not. So I'm just going to move this stuff aside here for a moment. That guy we're done with. So you use this in the same way. So this is usually how I get my my water going, is I will put it into the palm of my hand. I'll squeeze the reservoir and you'll see the water come into the top here. And then it'll move down into the top. And when it comes into my hand, then I know that I'm ready to start working. So I'm just going to pick up, so when you have shimmery white, you can actually watercolor on top of it. You don't need watercolor for this. So we're just going to do a little bit of a wash over top of these guys here. Now, this is not watercolor paper, so you're not going to get quite the same kind of effect, but you will get the ability for it to move around and get some color. So while it's still wet, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to give a little bit of the darker just around some of the edges and on those lines. I'm going to get rid of that espresso color. I'm going to pick up a little bit more. So I always go in and pick up. If I were doing watercolor paper, what I would probably be doing is putting water onto the paper first and then picking up my color. But because the shimmery white paper doesn't have quite as much resilience to it, that is why I am just picking up the color. So again, make sure I have water in my brush, not a ton, but just enough that I can paint here. So the only part that's hard on these little lovebirds is I don't know where their eyes go sometimes. But I probably could have used the large brush on these ones because it seems like I'm moving that paint around a little bit. But both will work. But if you have an aqua painter at home already, if you don't have an aqua painter and you don't have any kind of brush at all, these really are a good choice. They're relatively inexpensive. They will keep their point, I think. If they're anything like the aqua painter, they'll keep their point for a little bit of time. So I'm just going to do a little bit more shading here. And you can shade for hours, right? I could probably do that for hours, but I don't really want to. I'm going to go in with a little bit of my old olive. So you can see that this project already is definitely taking longer than the first one. And some of you might say, well, yeah, that's the way I like to spend my stamping. But some of us, and I've been guilty of this, how many of us, and I've said this before, and I use it as my example because it really is something that happens to me. You're going out to someone's house, your family member, usually your spouse, has got the car running, and you forgot to do either a little hostess gift or you forgot to do a little card to say thank you for inviting us, and you have to run downstairs and get something, and you don't have a card ready. So I'm using the crushed curry on the feet and on the nose, and this is not precise, so it doesn't have to be precise when it's watercolor, and that's good. That's all I'm going to be doing with those guys. Now what we want to do is we want to cut these guys out. So I said I was using punches. I'm using a lot of punches. So the first ones we're going to start with, we are going to use the punch pack, the heart punch pack. So we are going to punch this guy out with this. Now, because I don't want this to be a Christmas card, so you could have this be a Christmas card and have the mistletoe in there. I want this just to be these two little lovebirds. So there we go. We're getting rid of, I don't even know why I colored that. That was a waste of time. Now I'm going to take the scallop heart, which is just a little bit larger, and I'm going to punch out the crushed curry. I'm done with those guys. And I'm just going to glue those two together. I'm just going to make sure that that's, so you can see that there's a little bit of, whoops, you can't if I'm not holding it underneath the camera, that there's shading going on there. So I'm just going to glue that down onto my crushed curry. That's using the seal. Okay, so that part is done. Our stamping is done for that part. We have words. So the words we're going to stamp are All I Want for Christmas Is You. So I could have left that in. But if I didn't, if I wanted just to be Happy Anniversary, then I could just use Happy Anniversary. I'm going to continue to use the stamp set. And I'll show you a picture in a minute with the other one. Now, I lost my piece of white somewhere. Oh, I need it right here. Okay, so my black I put away. I need that. So All I Want for Christmas Is You. And I'm hoping, I'm going to use this side only because I need to punch that out. So when I punch it, I'm using the Timeless Label punch. Okay, and that one is just going to stick it in the middle. That in the garbage. We're done with that punch. Now I want a couple sprigs. So I'm just going to take my sprig punch. So you see, you can make a pretty decorative card and you don't have to even touch your Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine or your Big Shot. So I've got 2 sprigs now. We're done with that punch. And now we have the triple banner punch. I told you I was using lots. So, because for me, punches really are a quick way to stamp, make a card. So I'm using the triple banner. We're going to use it for 2 sides. So this paper, let me grab the sheet here. This paper is Poinsettia Place, and I'm using this sheet right here, which is the wood grain. And so this one I thought went really well with the owls, but I really do like all of the paper here, and I've gone through almost a whole pack already, and it's not one that has any gold or anything in it, but I really like the color choices. Even that bumblebee is really something that goes really well here. And I didn't choose bumblebee here. I don't think I did. No, I think I chose crushed curry. Let me just see. Maybe I'm out to lunch. No, crushed curry. That's what it was. Okay, so we went for that. Now we're just going to stick this in here. And it's 2x4, so it should fit in there. Mine is having a problem getting in there. But I always look here I always make sure it's right to the top, and then I look at the sides, and there should be just a little bit of an opening there, I guess. So you can just open it, punch that. We are not going to be using that, although Lillian is wonderful at using all those little pieces that we have left over. So I'm also going to take my early espresso. It's just 1x2. And this one, you can see a little bit more. If I were to have that over here, maybe I'll pull it up there, that's not going to give me a straight banner. So I need to pull that in. I usually just eyeball all of these, give that a punch, and pull it back out. Okay, so now we are ready to put the card together. So this card, because I have it scored, you're just going to fold it in half, and then you're going to fold it into the middle again. Okay, so fold it into the middle again and give that a burnish. Now the really important part to this card is that you're not going to put anything on this part here. You're going to put it on here. And I have done this several times, and I have put it on that part. So those are my words of wisdom to you, is that don't do what I do. Do what it actually says in the instructions. So I'm going to glue this guy down off to the left-hand side. Nope. We are first going to put this in there. So I think I still have enough time to get that up. I do. This is a do as this notes say, not as I say, not as I just did. So let's stick that in here, and I'm going to line it up. There we go. So that's a little bit better. This guy here is going to go on with dimensionals. So I have put my dimensionals away, so I'm going to pull them back in. And I think I want one right at the top too. So Lillian gave a great tip there for getting those dimensionals off. Another tip is, if you don't have take your prick tool around, if you just go into the middle of your dimensional with your nail, it will lift up one of the sides to make it easier for you to pick that up. Okay, and then we are going to just set that down. We're going to glue our piece of crumb cake. So if you have a seal and you have a little bit of problem getting it going, I find that a lot I do need to put my finger on here and get it going. But my problem is that I'm not slow enough. I need to stop and lift up rather than just sort of keep going. And so if you do that, it actually works way better. But I'm usually in way too much of a hurry. So now we're also going to take the owl I want for Christmas, and we're going to put those on with dimensionals, but we're first going to stick our little guys in behind. And I am going to do that with some liquid glue. So just a little bit of embellishment there. So go ahead and decide where you want it. That might be a little bit high. And maybe down over this way. I never like to have mine going exactly in a diagonal line. I don't know why. Like we talked already this morning about that A word. Okay, and then this is going to go here or wherever you want it to go. Is that straight? Sort of straight. And I do have lots of different ideas for you too, so that when you open this, you are going to have it sit against so it's an easel card, right? So an easel card, and people sometimes think that these are difficult cards, but they're not. They are super simple. So we're just going to embellish it a little bit, and I'm going to put on some gold glitter. And I have a couple here. Okay, so what time are we at? Are we doing okay? Because we have one more project, and it's going to be the one that has the most work to it. So there you go. So a card that can be, this one is Christmas, but you don't have to. If you cut these guys like I did, you can get rid of the mistletoe in there. Okay, so there's number 2. Now let's move on to number 3. Now number 3 I have to unpack here, but there's not a lot of stuff to unpack. So look at that. I've given myself a little note because I know that I could easily screw this up. So we have some ribbon for this next one, and we are going to be doing some embossing. And we're also going to be doing some cutting with the Pika Hoot dies. Yeah, that owl stamp set, Lynn, is super cute, and I'm enjoying using it. And I have a Halloween card that I'm going to show you too. So I'm going to pull in my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and the next video that you guys are going to get, the one after this, is all about this machine. So you're going to get a little bit of a tutorial and some of the tips that I've found as I'm working with it. And I've got tons of samples in the videos too, so you are going to want to take a look at that. So stamp words first. So I was just about to put that in there. You would think that if I gave myself that message not to do it, that I actually would listen to myself. But no, I was going to go ahead and do that. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to do an orientation this way on this guy. I'm going to pull that off because I think I can remember for the next 25 seconds, but maybe not. And I am going to go in, and I'm just thinking, what are the words that I want to put on here? It is from all of us, because we are going to use this super cute little guy. I just love, this is probably my favorite stamp out of the whole thing. You just put it on your list, Bonnie? It is great. I love this one. So, like Lillian, I use my grid paper to try and make myself have a straight line here. So I want my from all of us down here. And why it's important to stamp first is because we are about to run that through the embossing folder. Now, I probably would recommend that you let that dry for just a little bit, because when you put it through here, we might have that the ink transfer onto the top. I'm just going to put it in. This is a standard one. So a standard one means that it gets the full sandwich, and the video will give you the whole meal deal on the sandwiches. So I'm just going to put that through and run it. Except, do I have one in there that I don't? It feels a little tight. Let me just see. Yeah, that's too tight. What have I got in there that I don't need? I think that guy. That was the old, what you call thin die adapter. So so there was an example of I knew that that was too hard to push through. So if that ever happens to you, even with your big shot, if that happens to you, then make sure that you pull it out rather than try and crank it through. It shouldn't feel like you need to have had, 17 cans of spinach in order to get that to work. So I've just used the all over snowflakes on top of there. And I'm going to put that down onto my card. So my card is going to be crumb cake, and it is the long orientation again, 4 1/4 by 11, scored at 5 1/2. And I will put that on with my liquid glue. I really find that I'm using more and more liquid glue. I have a friend who cannot stand liquid glue, like the feel of it. Does anyone have that problem here? Because I imagine that is not a very good feeling when that happens. Okay, so now we're going to stamp our little guys. So we're going to go ahead and, but first, no, we're not going to stamp. We're going to use our Hoot dies. So the die that I want to use is this guy right here. So I loved this die. I didn't even notice at first that it had well, I guess I did notice it had the images, but I really like this one here. And this one here will cut out a full card front, but it will also just, when you cut out the card front, it gives you these little tags. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. And it will just fit on my piece of paper, which I think is 4 1/2 by 5, no, 4, what is it? 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So this time, when I'm going through my embossing machine, I do need to use this die. I'm going to have to come up with a name, but I think it's called a die platform. I can't remember now. So I always put that on the bottom. I want to just make sure that I don't cut into that. And then, so that's number 2. This big fat one's number 1. So 1, 2, and both of my 3s are what I need. So I'm just going to cut those. I want my tags, and I'm going to stamp on my tags. Rather than try, and why I did that, so a tip with working with this one, I would need to have set myself up with a template in order to stamp in these spots if I wanted to stamp and then cut afterwards. And I have done that with another one, which is the example I'm going to show you. I'll just put that aside. But for this one, that's not what I want to do. Okay, so I've got now 3 little tags, which are super cute because they are stitched. Have you noticed that we have a lot of stitched stuff? I'm trying to talk louder as I put that away. So we're going to use this little guy here. Okay, so I'm just going to take that first, and we are going to stamp this guy. We're going to stamp our little ones. And we're going to put that on there. And it's not going to fit. It is going to go over the edges. Okay, so there's, which one do you like the best? Which is your favorite little owl? I think I know which one it is, but, well, I know which one mine is, but let me know which one is yours. And these guys are just so cute. So I used thick Whisper White, and because I wanted to use my Stampin' Blends. So I've got crumb cake, I have light soft suede, I have both of the real reds, and I have pumpkin pie. So I'm going to start with my lights in this case, and I'm just going to color everywhere. And this is like Marilyn was doing with her super cute little box. Isn't that sweet? I'm sure that if we spent a little bit more time, we would be able to come up with all different kinds of ideas that we can use for that too. And I'm realizing that I probably don't even need to color these guys. You could just color parts of them. So there they are. Let's just do a little bit of dotting around just so we have a little bit there. And then I'm going to use I think I'm just going to go in with my dark. I don't think that I really need to do much shading here. I'm just going to give them their hats. And you want to be using the bullet tip here. This is a pretty small little thing to color. So use your bullet tip. I'm going to use my bullet tip again. I'm going to try, they don't have, these guys, that one has a nose. Well, they're not a nose, are they? That one has a beak. They have little feet. So you don't have to color all of these. You could just leave it white. Maybe just color the tops of their hats, which was a sip card that I think I put on my blog not that long ago. Just a couple weeks ago, actually. So I'm using the soft suede just because I wanted a different color for the tree. Okay, so that's really quick there. I've got a little piece of ribbon. Now, against my better judgment, I thought, why don't I put that in and why don't I actually tie a bow while I'm on video? And that's really, that's probably not the smartest thing I've done in my lifetime or in the last 5 minutes. But let's just see if all the stars are aligned properly. And if I hold my tongue just the right way, and if you guys send good vibes this way, no, it's not going to work. See? One more time. Maybe if I be quiet. It's really hard for me to be quiet when I'm doing a live. Like Lillian's daughter really said, I feel like dead space is not that much fun. I feel like you guys probably want to be a little bit entertained. Tell me, if you don't, that'd be great. I could probably just, do what I do, and it could be a very silent show though. So that's all we're doing for that guy, giving him a little bow. We are going to put that on with dimensionals, which I have lost. So they were here 2 seconds ago. So I need to pull out another one. Let's see. Well, I've got small ones. So we are going to do small ones, and they will work just fine, although I'm sure I'll find my dimensionals as soon as I get these on here. So I'm going to put one in the middle. I did have these. What did I do with them? We're all having problems with losing stuff today. And I think I'm all in the same camp as you guys, that I'm a messy stamper. I have a mess by the time I'm done. So that's just going to go over here. I'm going to take my ribbon scissors. And Lillian was talking yesterday, and she lost her scissors, and she almost had to use her ribbon scissors. I think that was on a video, and maybe some of you were watching that. I cringed when she said that. So there's the front, and we're going to go on the inside, and we're just going to take another one of these guys. Did I? I don't think I did. I think I just went Merry Christmas. Let me find the Merry Christmas. And I'm going to put it down here. Okay, so 3 cards, and what time are we at? That was only half an hour. That's not bad. Okay, so let me just put a lid on my ink, and I want to show you some other things. Okay, so that's that little guy, and no other embellishment on here. I thought about putting in, I do have more. I think maybe, you know what, I'm going to change this right now, because I have this bow. I made this bow, and I know that it was for something else. So hold on, let me find my Merry Christmas. And let's stamp her on that tag. And again, dimensionals, small ones again. I think I was only looking at this small tag, and that was what sort of threw me. So this is going to go on the inside. And all of these cards you'll be able to see up close and personal in the PDF. And has anybody downloaded their PDFs yet? So I'm going to cover up that Merry Christmas with that one. And I'm going to take a glue dot. So you've probably seen this tip before, but if you haven't, I kept some of my baker's twine, and I just run that around a new roll of my dots when I start it, and then I just move that, and it keeps that from flying around all over the place. And I need to put my ribbon right on top of that, and I'm going to put that here, and I'm just going to trim those ends a tiny bit too. And I don't necessarily like to have my ends exactly the same length. I like them to be different. There. I knew that I'd done something on the inside. So let's just see what it looks like on the actual card. So let me move this stuff out of the way. Yeah, mess for sure. Okay. And let's see what we have. So I want to show you the second card. So here was the second card. So it's very much the same. Oh, I did put some glitter dots on there too. And I only put on 1 sprig. So it will sit there. Okay, so that was that one. And this is the one that I made. So it is pretty much the same. And then I did Merry Christmas going the opposite way. Sorry, I was out of the screen just a little bit there. So those are the cards with this stamp set. Now, if you don't have that stamp, oh, hold on just a sec. I said I was going to show you a Halloween card. So here's a Halloween card using the template as it is. So first of all, what I did is I embossed this. I don't know if you can see, but it's got the cobwebs. There, it's a little bit better. It has the cobwebs on it. And then I did set myself up with a little template. And my template, I did the same size piece of paper and I cut it out on my just a scrap piece of paper, and then so I drew little pencil lines very, very lightly on top of my white, and then I stamped and I colored, and maybe you can see, so this is all with blends, and I've done some shading on it, but this is the Halloween guy. And then I cut out my piece and I knew that it was going to be in the right spot. Okay, and then there's a little boo inside. So this guy, I've used every stamp out of this stamp set more than a few times, and I love that even though it looks like it's a Halloween and Christmas set, it really isn't. It's also a Valentine set, but it can be all occasion. So there's that. Now, if you don't have that one yet, you might have this one. So I wanted to stay with sort of a Christmas or winter theme. So you might have the snowman season. So this is, I'm doing exactly the same technique for the next three. So this guy here is just got sponging on the snowman, and just his snowman, just his nose is colored pumpkin pie. The second one is using punches. Get that out of the way. So here we go. So it's using punches. Oh, except I realized I did a die right there. And so you can just color him in with your markers again and your shimmery paper. That's what this is shimmery white paper. So using some pretty bold colors there. And then the last one is similar kind of idea. It's stamped first, run through the Tasteful Textile embossing folder, have a different tag this time. This one is from the Wild Rose dies, and then stamped him and used my Stampin' Blends to color him in, and I also put some Wink of Stella on there, which you probably can't see in this light. No, I don't think you can, but there's some glimmer there too. What did I do on the inside? Nothing on the inside for that one. So if you have the snowman season, and we have pictures of these ones, and then I did one more, and I did these today. So these ones are using the cocktail set. So these guys here, everything I've done last time for the Step It Up, I did solid stamping. These ones are all open line images where you color. So these ones are open line, but they also are solid because it's two-step stamping, but I didn't do that here. So I did a little bit of Magenta Madness, and then I put Mango Melody over top just so that you get sort of that sunrise kind of look. Now, what kind of cocktail is this? I haven't had a cocktail like this for a long time, but a fruity one, and it's sort of sweet. And I couldn't remember the name of this when I was making it, but it was in my mind as I was using those colors. So tell me what the name of that cocktail is if you have that one. So that's the first one. The second one, now the second one I made a mistake on. So the second one, and you maybe can't tell, I put my tag on here, and then I had to pull it off. And so, oops, so I pulled in my eraser, my adhesive eraser, which I have, which Stampin' Up! No longer sells. If you do not have one of these are a bit of a lifesaver, and they're very inexpensive. You can probably get them at an art store. Anybody know if Michael's carries these? They might, but they are invaluable because I took all the glue off and then I put it on the right spot. So today is a coffee kind of day. So this one I just cut out and I used circle punches and again our banner punches. And then the inside is just a reverse of this one. So it's the banner going the opposite way. And I've just used shimmery white paper and colored it in again with my Magenta Madness. So there's that one. And then the last one, which is the fully stepped up one, I embossed the background, no stamping on it this time. Oh, dollar stores, Anita says. Okay, Tequila Sunrise. Yes, we won't judge you, Rhonda. And Anita knew it too. See, you're not the only one. Oh, Walmart, Lynn says. So I guess they're all over, but make sure you have one because it really will make your stamping easier when you make lots of oopses like I do. So this one has the Argyle embossing folder on it, and then it's just stamped onto the stitched nested. You're just like chocolate is a detailed die, And this is two-step stamping. So instead of using my blends here, I used the two-step stamping. So I stamped the magenta first and then over-stamped the chocolate pieces. And then on the inside, I just nested two of the small, the stitch nested labels. So those are ways that you can step up your cards. I'll come back to you here. That you can step up your cards fairly quickly. So half an hour, you can easily get 3 different cards done, and make them. Use whatever stamp sets you have and color them. You probably have markers. If you don't have markers, use the top of your stamp pad. And let me just show that. I think everybody knows that, but if you don't, oh, and I picked an old one. Hold on. If you don't, on one of the, if this is one of the new pads, you just, similar to the old one, you just sort of press it together. This one, they don't get as much ink as they used to. Then you open it up, and then you have your ink to work with. So if you do not have markers, this is what you can use instead. It just takes up a lot more room on your workspace. Okay, so what stamp set are you going to use to do these cards? Is it one that is an open line that you can color, or do you have one that is a solid or a two-step one? So put it in the comments which ones you're going to use first to make it. And Lynn, you had asked a while ago about the zany zebras. I think they would be awfully cute for this little card. So, okay, so thanks very much, everybody, and we'll see you at the end of the day. Next up is Lillian. You have 20 minutes to take a little bit of a break, maybe grab some water, and we will see you back here. Thanks. See you again. Bye.